Today I'd like to talk about happiness to a degree. Yeah? Happiness in this definition is the happiness that the definition the Singaporeans are trying to use, what Laurie was talking about. Singapore wants to create happiness in the workplace. Why? Because happiness means you can get more engagement from your employees, more engagement from your talent. Yeah? So here I'll go around what we call a happiness model. A lot of people refer to Deloitte to a degree, so I have to also, I guess. Deloitte did this leadership survey. They do it every 2 years, I think. Yeah, the last one that they published was, I think, in April or March this year. They go around the world. I think they've got about 30,000 respondents, etc. And they call it the human. I mean, in the results, it was a leadership survey, but they call it the Global Human Capital Trends for 2015. Now, I'm going to zoom this very fast. Look at what the first one is. The first priority, the first issue globally. Yeah, you can dissect it. If you go to the report, you can dissect it by Asia Pacific, by the regions. But globally, the number one issue facing human capital, people, managers today is actually about culture and engagement, besides leadership. Yeah, that's number one issue. And if you look at the next slide, this next slide, the blue bars are basically how important is it to those organizations, and the green bars are basically where they are. And if you look at the leftmost column, you'll see that culture and engagement is the biggest issue. It's probably the most important thing that they need the people around the world have said they need to do, but that's one of the biggest gaps that they've got. Yeah? So it's interesting to see engagement, even though it may be a new word over the last few years, is a critical issue as we move forward. It's critical enough for many organizations to start experimenting what they want to do. I mean, all the Googles, all the Apples, all we'll talk about Netflix in a few minutes. They experiment with giving their people gourmet foods, bean bags, yeah, our friend, and so on and so forth. But is it working? There is, if you read some of the reports, some of them are saying it's not working. Yeah, it's nice to have, it's not working. But some people have said, yeah, it's working very well. There is a tendency, in terms of looking at some of these benefits, there's a tendency for some of these to be more cultural bias. There is a tendency for cultural biasness in some of these offerings. Yeah? Not everyone, we cannot put everything on a single cookie cutter and say, this is what everyone around the world wants. Yeah? And multinationals today have got that as the biggest problem, because when they come with a policy from the US or from the UK or from anywhere, they say, this is the policy for globally, without counting the cultural needs of each of those countries. Yeah? And we'll see it in a few minutes.